Minister, you know that there is enormous concern this winter in relation to how families are going to heat their homes, particularly elderly people, particularly the vulnerable. And that's not scaremongering. That is the truth. You know it. It is true in many, many countries across the state, and or across the world, and there are international factors, undoubtedly. But there are also factors within our control. And it is the case that we have left ourselves incredibly vulnerable, more vulnerable than most of our neighbours in terms of our energy security. We are extremely reliant on fossil fuels, we are extremely reliant on the international markets, and we have made several mistakes in recent years, particularly, of course, the last 10 years in terms of our grid and our capacity that exists there, and our capacity in terms of energy generation during the course of the last Fine Gael government, but also during the course of this government. And I'm going to raise two particular points in relation to this. In advance of that, one of the things I do think is important to put on record is it is very difficult to fathom the position of the government to oppose decoupling of electricity and gas for months and months, and is now trying to hide behind the EU. It was the position of the Irish government that they were opposed to this, and I find that difficult to fathom. 2 points I want to make in relation to energy security. You talk to anyone involved in energy, particularly on the renewable side, they're tearing their hair out at EirGrid and at the CRU, but also beyond that at the processes, that everything is sequential, that you get your planning, and then only when you have your grant of planning can you go to the ESB and can you try and advance things in that regard. That is absolute lunacy. And I have come across situations, and I'm not going to go into too much details, but there are operations there, or I suppose wind farms, that the planning is on the verge of elapsing, but they haven't been able to proceed through the ESB and on board Planala, and also the wait times, the delays in terms of on board Planala. That point was made by Deputy O'Rourke as well. That is seriously slowing down the ability of those who want to generate energy and want to generate it in a renewable way to be able to bring it into the grid. The other point, and just briefly to raise this, is in relation to solar. It's really, really difficult to understand the bureaucracy, the delay in terms of businesses, in terms of individuals, and in terms of schools and community organisations being able to install solar and put it back into the grid. There's 4,000 schools in the state. Every one of those should have solar panels. There's supposed to be legislation coming through. It was supposed to be sorted in the spring, and it gone to consultation. Look, there's nothing wrong with consultation, but it's very hard to understand. This was supposed to be solved months and months ago and in place.